My last visit to Catch 22 was nothing short of insane. Taking on the challenge of landing 22 fish from the venue, I absolutely smashed it, and at times dealing with triple takes. But while all the chaos unfolded, something else caught my attention. A smaller, more intimate lake sitting quietly next door, and that's exactly where this session begins. Been here a good couple of hours now, and I've seen plenty of fish in front of this swim, the swim opposite of course, because there's sort of fish in the same water. Contemplated going up to the far end where it's a bit shallower, but there's just too much activity in this swim. And on the catch up, this is saying this is peg number 3. There's actually an old sign from when this was official years ago called the Willows. So for those of you that know this place from years gone by, I'm in a swim called the Willows. I'm guessing because there used to be some willow trees which look like they've been cut down, because they certainly aren't here right now, but there are fish in front of this swim. And it looks like in good numbers as well. Now there's one other chap fishing here at the moment. He's been on here for a couple of nights. He had a lovely 40-pounder the other day. And he's going to be moving in actually to the swim opposite to where I am now, because he's seen the same fish as I have. So I'm definitely along the right lines. If I'm following what a local is doing, I must know something to do with watercraft. But it looks good. So I was going to be quite methodical, slowly get my stuff set up. But there's fish there right now. So I think I've just got to ping a couple of singles over there and see if whilst they're there, we can nick a quick bite. I say that a lot to Cameron, it never ever happens, but I'm not going to catch these fish, which are clearly there right now, without having a rod in the water quickly. So I'm going to get my rods out. I'm pretty sure I've still got some of my little pop-up corns on there. Just stick a lead on, thread on. I've got some worm actually to put on the top of that. So nice visual bait, something just to flick out there nice and quickly and see if whilst they're there, if we can get a bite. Oh, it's bubbling up like mad right now. Right, let's not waste any more time. First rod is out, and it's always exciting when you get your rod into a new venue, especially when you found signs of fish feeding. And you may have noticed when I did the cast, it looked rather frantic when it hit the water. I was doing this. The reason for that is I cast beyond the signs of the feeding fish, much like you do when you're surface fishing. You tend to cast beyond the feeding fish and bring your surface controller back in. I've done the same here, really. I've cast beyond the feeding fish, beyond the bubblers, flick the bail arm over and quickly wound back, so then I drop down much more subtly on top of where those fish are feeding. So you're not crashing a lead directly above the head, you're making sure it comes in a lot smoother and it falls down through the water a lot softer than it would if you just let a lead crash against the surface straight down on the spot where they're feeding. So the idea behind is it less likely to spook the fish. Having said that, if ever you're going to have a 3.5 ounce lead falling down through the water, fish are going to be like, what on earth was that? Either way, that's out there. Nice drop. It felt quite deep actually. I'd say easily 10 foot plus where that just landed, and that does ring true. So a bit more about the lake whilst I think about where I'm going to put the other rods and look for signs of other fish. This is a 4-acre gravel pit with depths varying between 2 to 15 feet. It's all bookable on the Go Catch app again as well, just like it was on the last time I fished on the main lake on it. So both these lakes are bookable through the Go Catch app, and that's where I'm getting all my information on this place as well. I think you can have a maximum of 6 anglers on here at any one time. So at the moment there's only 2 of us. You've got loads of water in front of us. You've got lily pad beds, you've got tree line margins, you've got bars, you've got depths, like I said, from 2 to 15. So there's lots to go at, and I'd love intimate venues like this with lots of features. So for some people, they love big open pits, and that's fine. To me, that's a bit daunting. This is where I love fishing. Smaller water, you can see most of the lake, but there's still loads of places for them to hide and seek refuge, and you've got to figure out where they want to be at any one time. And thankfully, so far this morning, they've shown me where they want to be. So although they've been showing there, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to instantly catch them, because it's going to be 14 degrees today, I think, quite warm, maybe not quite that warm, but it's bright, probably going to be good weather for zigs, if I'm honest. But whilst there's bubbling there, which seems like activity on the bottom, it made sense to at least put a single out over there. So I'm feeling like that's a good option for a bite fairly quick on, but I'm always confident at the start of a session. And now I need to decide where I'm going to put the other rods as well. Not going to fish far out, it's a small venue, so I don't need to be casting all over the place. But I think what I'm going to do now is just stick a bare lead on one of my other rods and just flick them down the margins. I've got some... for some reason the birds have decided to kick off now. And just have a little flick around in the near margins, because if I don't have to fish far out, I don't want to, because it's a small lake. they are masters of their own environment. And I've often found that you don't need to fish far out on these sort of places. They know if there's a line going through the water, if you're fishing to them. So if you can have as little line in the water as possible by either using a washing line method to the far bank or fishing your own margins, which everyone has access to, you don't need any special kit to fish your own margins. That could be the right way about doing it. But first and foremost, you need to find out what sort of depths are around in front of me. If it feels nice and clean. If it's silty, maybe use a solid bag or something like that. If it's clean, like what I've put out already, and we'll go from there. But I like the idea of being able to manage my spots quite close in, keep my noise to a minimum. I'm doing all this talking way back from the water and just try and watch the water as much as possible, as you always should on any venue, and look for signs of fish. But whilst that rod's in the water, there's always a chance. Just a quick break from the video to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is UKCC, who are one of the UK's largest current fishing gear giveaway companies. But on top of that, they do vans, motorhomes, holidays, tech, cash alternatives, and more. For you to get involved, get your tickets and win some awesome prizes, check the link in the description down below. Thanks again to UKCC for sponsoring this video. Now, back to it. Several hours have passed since you last saw me, and unfortunately that little single that I flicked out to the fish that were showing didn't result in a fish. I did have a liner which got the heart racing. I ran to the rod thinking that here we go, it's finally happening, but it just didn't happen. I brought that in now because I had to nip back to the van and get a few little bits and pieces. So all 3 rods are now set to go back out. The one I cast out this morning is likely to go straight back out to where that was because there's still fizzing out there, but I'm just going to add a little mesh bag and I'm changing over the hook baits ever so slightly. As you know, this is what I pinged out to start with. If we get that focus on there, these are those little pole position pop-up corn things, and they have a little clip which you pull out. So if I pull this one out, I'll just get rid of these maggots. Not maggots, sorry, these worms, although you can use maggots on these systems as well. Try and get them off. Come on, buddies. There you go. Be free. I don't know how long they'll last, but there you are. There's the little hook, which is within it. So that is what you attach your maggots and your worms to. Once they're on, you spin that round, and it goes back into the corn like so. It works, but I am finding that the ultra buoyant ones, which is what they are, aren't quite as buoyant as I'd like them to be. The hook that I'm using, which is a size 4, maybe is a bit too heavy for them. It's just sort of falling back down on itself, and I don't really want that. So I've just made a little change, and this is what I've come up with. So, well, not come up with, it's nothing fancy, it's just I've changed the hook bait, same rig and everything, but this time I've put an ultra buoyant pop-up on there, one of the little mainline jobbies. So that I've already checked holds this hook up really, really well. Even with a bit of putty, it sits really nicely, which is exactly what I want it to do. But you probably noticed the green bit is dangling down from the bait. Now this is just pole elastic, and this is what I'm going to use to attach my worms to. Now I fixed this in place on there by just using the floss which I've used to attach the boilie when I was tying the overhand loop knots to tighten down this. The last knot I made, I passed this through, pulled it down tight. I may have done another one on top of that just to pinch this in position. So this is now held in place by the bait floss, which is holding the bait in position. So if for whatever reason the worms come off or whatnot, I've still got a bait attached, although I will probably then have a little tag end or a little bit of tag end of elastic if that does happen, but that's not the plan. So now what I need to do is get my little bait needle, thread on some dendrobina worms, and then attach them, probably 1 worm on each side, maybe 2, depending on how big they are, to each side of this elastic. And then just same as like how I attach a bait with bait floss, keep tying overhand loop knots, pulling it down tight to make sure it's nice and snug. And that will be all I need to do to attach the worms to these hook baits. So real simple in theory, and the idea of using the worms is just something extra as attraction. They do let off a different scent. I'm not going to say I know exactly what it is that worms give off, but I've done sessions with worms before, caught plenty of fish on them. So I thought this time of year, spring, fish starting to wake up, I'm not going to use masses of bait, but I do want my hook bait to be a bit more in their face and visual, and considering this place I don't think is seeing as much bait as maybe the one next door. They may be a bit more preoccupied on naturals and things in the silty areas, holding up in the lilies and stuff. If they see a worm, which although sitting on top of a pop isn't natural, they are more likely to see things like worms and stuff that fall in off of the bank on the side, or birds drop in and stuff. So something that they might recognise as a good food source. With that just wiggling around on top of a pop-up, I think it's too good to resist if a fish comes across them. So that's the setup I'm using. Everything else is kept the same. I've got my 3 or 3.5 ounce leads to a running lead clip. I've got some tubing on top of that as well, just to pin things down. And because I'm fishing 2 of the rods close in, which as you saw I was leading around in the margins, real hard firm drops closer in, and it's starting to go softer as you go out. So it's pretty deep. I'd say it's easily already 5-6 foot in depth. And to the right I've got a old overhanging bush, so a nice little area that fish might frequent and check out which. I'm pretty sure has happened already today, because I saw a big load of ripples come from the edge of the bush, and I looked and there was no birds to be seen, so something was in that bush, knocked one of the branches and caused some ripples. And same again on the left hand side. So I'm not casting very far, they're nice and manageable spots. Anyway, sitting back here, I've got a load of editing to do, so I'll be nice and quiet on my bank. I can control this, no other anglers can access where I'm fishing, so I think that that's going to be the best bet with fishing a smaller venue like this. High vis, active hook baits, small amounts of bait on clearer patches with rigs I know will present nicely on there. That's how I'm going to go about. And finally, a little mesh bag for good measure, so that the hook baits themselves do have something extra around them, especially one I'm going to be pinging out to the middle of the water where the bubbling is, because I'm not putting any other bait around it. That's just going out as a rig with a little mesh bag on. So time to get the rods back out, and they'll probably sit out there potentially until I go tomorrow. There's not much more I think I can do other than maybe freshen up the worms occasionally. So they're going to go out at least for the rest of today anyway, and then we'll see how the session goes. But I'm feeling confident as always. Beautiful sunrise happening behind me on the main lake here at Catch 22, and I know I said I wasn't going to move the rods until something happened, maybe tomorrow, but my laptop's about to die. I've had a really productive day getting editing done, because at the point of filming I have 3 videos to edit for you guys, and this will be the 4th one, so I'm getting a bit behind on the editing side of things because I've been out and about doing so much. So it's all content for you guys, but it does mean I'm kind of trying to catch up whilst I can. Gorgeous sunset, just take that in before I put the rods back out after a little walk to the car to get a power bank to power up the laptop to continue my editing into the evening. And what a lovely sight that is. Gorgeous. Right, fresh baits, fresh worms on the baits, not mine. I've got old worms. And then hopefully something happens in the night. All 3 rigs came back completely clean, crystal clean, so I know that where I'm fishing, I'm presented nicely. So it's just a case of repeat the process and get it back out. You know what? That sort of false spring we had 3 or 4 weeks ago, when it was 18 degrees, sunny, I was fishing in a t-shirt, caught one from my syndicate, I thought, brilliant. Everywhere's waking up now. And then we went back to frosts, cold, clear nights. Last night was a pretty cold, clear night. No frost, but only a few degrees above freezing. And I think it's instilled a false bit of confidence when we had that warm weather recently, because it's not been easy since. I've had several sessions where I felt confident, as I thought it's going to happen. I can see fish moving around and nothing. I know I'm on a place I've never fished before, and I don't think it's a huge stock in here. I think it's 60 odd fish from what I saw in the catch up. Still enough fish in 4 acres of water, and I'm seeing the odd bubble come up. I think I've done all the right things in finding clearer spots in the margin and fishing one to where the fish are showing. And there is still a chance. I did have a liner yesterday. I'm sure the fish was near where I was, and then actually just before I went to sleep, the middle of the game, which is the one I've been fishing up to the show with fish, or the bubbling, pulled up a few beeps again, and actually didn't drop back down for quite a while, so I'm not sure what happened there. But it's been really quiet. And then this morning I woke up, I've been awake for a couple of hours just watching the water, and I did have a fish roll in this swim, probably a couple of rod lengths to the right of my middle rod, so I know there's fish still here. I'm seeing the odd bubble come up again, I'm just hoping that this morning, because I'm already fishing and I know I'm presented nicely out there before, because I wasn't fishing until midday yesterday, nearly early afternoon by the time I got all 3 rods out. So at least today, it's only just on 7 a.m. I'm seeing all the signs I saw when I got here yesterday, but my rods are already in position. So I'm confident, as always. I'm always confident, but I got a lot of work to carry on with today, so I'm going to get the laptop out soon. But firstly, a decent breakfast. Now, I'm always trying to eat a bit healthier on the bank now because I fish so much. It's very easy to eat crap constantly. So I normally have porridge pots. This morning, I'm treating myself to bacon and egg bap. Sod it. I'm going to enjoy that. Breakfast was absolutely lovely, even if half the funny egg did end up down my front. And I've got loads of work done. Everything's been productive this morning. Got all that finished. But the rods have stayed stationary. Sometimes you just get that feeling that it's just not going to happen. Despite the fact that a fish rolled on top of me this morning, there's been nothing else really in front of my so it's gone really, really quiet. Today's looking same as yesterday, a bit brighter, actually a bit warmer, and the fish might be moving around. There might be a chance of staying there, but with a 4.5 hour, 250 mile journey home ahead of me, I don't really want to hang out all day and then do that journey later on. But I am sick to death of blanking, so although I've blanked on here, I don't want to end this video on a blank. So I've just tied up some mesh bags, got some rigs ready, going to bring the rods in, chuck it all in the van, drive 4.5 hours home and go to a local Runswater and hope that in just an hour or so's fishing this evening, I can stop this little run of blanks on the carp side of things, because I've done several carp trips in a row now. For bream, the next trip, bream, the next trip, tench, and then this trip, nothing. I need to break this little branking spree before it develops into something that gets me panicking that I don't know what I'm doing. I think it's just a case of it's still a little early in the year, and despite the weather picking up, I do this every year, I think, fish have woken up. Sometimes they're still just a little bit slower, so I'm going to go somewhere where it's full of fish, I've caught plenty of fish from before, and just hope that I can get this monkey off my back and get a fish for you guys as well as myself. Right then, Operation Blank Saver underway. 4 hours 40. Let's go. That was a long old slog. It's now 20 to 5 after stops. I think from the lake to lake was just over 5 hours. I think more like 5.25 hours. But we're here. We've got a couple of hours of daylight left. Mesh bags and rigs are ready, so it's literally a case of opening the back of the van, getting my stuff out, slinging some rods out, and hoping that all this effort will result in at least a fish. With 3 or 4 margin spots prepped with a little bit of bait, I employed the 20 to 30 minute technique, which I've done on a previous video. Keeping mobile, not staying anywhere too long, and once dropping on fish, being pretty confident if they're there, I'll get a bite. Another bream. There we got carp. Finally. Oh, finally. That ends 4 sessions without a carp. Finally. Yeah. Oh. And there we have it. I woke up this morning rather despondent that I still hadn't had another carp. Driven 250 miles, coming back home, popped into my local, and finally a carp on the channel. Oh, that makes me very happy. Off you go, buddy. Not going to take any more of your time. You've done what you needed to. Giving me a bit of confidence back. Hey, finally a carp. Oh, I can always rely on this place. But of course, once you've caught one, you want another one. Yes. The power of putting just a little bit of bait in several margins. This rod's been in all of about a minute. Come on. And he's in. With that fish in the net, I brought the other rod in and stuck it in the margin that I just produced, and I'd only just walked away from it when it was off again. What a manic 5 minutes. And this is exactly why I've ended today on a familiar venue. 3 bites in the space of about 30 minutes. The last 2 come in within about 2 minutes of each other. Put that one down, that's the most recent one caught, and the one just before that, slightly bigger than that one. Equally as wriggly. These fish have definitely waken up from their winter slumber. And this one's got some cool colorations on it. And this one was the first of the 2 moving around there. So Paige just putting a little bit of bait in a few different margins and coming back, so I'm right back at the van now. I should have been happy with the 1 carp, but I thought, let's just stick them down here in case. And I'm glad they did, because 2 fish in a couple of minutes has made it all worthwhile. So yes, it doesn't match the rest of the video, but sometimes you just need to catch a couple of fish to end that run of blanks and get you back on the right path. Let's get these back. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it if you did, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next one.